Hey everybody, welcome to our Friday bonus conversation episode. We've got Pageant Planet owner Stephen Roddy on with us today. Hey Stephen, man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks Ted for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, hey, you're a big deal in this world, and I'm so glad that we finally got to connect. Obviously, we got to connect through your awards that you've been giving out over the past month. By the way, Stephen also has his own weekly podcast called Pageant Planet. If you are still involved in the pageant world, I'd highly encourage you to go check that out. But Stephen, I was reading that when you were younger, you actually wanted to own a football team. So I'm wondering how you went from that to owning Pageant Planet, which has become kind of the biggest deal in the pageant world on the web.
Okay, so my parents asked me when I was 12 what I wanted to do for a living. And I was like, I want to own the Chicago Bears. And they're like, do you mean play for them? I was like, no, I want to own them. And so they're like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm from a very small city in Belpre, Ohio. There's like 7,000 people that live there. So not much to do. So I guess I chose to dream. And when I was 23, I ended up negotiating my way into buying an arena football team. And at the time, I was the youngest person to own an arena football team. I don't know if that's still the case or not. And for the first game, I'm like, who's the prettiest girl I can get to do the coin toss? And I thought, the team was in Georgia, and I thought maybe I can hire Miss Georgia to do the contest. So to do the coin toss. So I hired her. She and I started dating, and then that's how I got introduced to the whole world of pageantry.
So you bought a team at 23 years old. What were you doing that allowed you to be able to buy a team at 23 years old?
I was waiting tables at the Cheesecake Factory.
That must have been a lucrative Cheesecake Factory job.
Oh, no, it wasn't. But the gift of gab and just creative financing and I didn't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of, is the same. And I called the guy. So the long story is my friend sold this magazine, it was a Forbes magazine, and on the cover it said how you can own your own football team. And so he bought it for me and he said, hey, figured you'd get a kick out of this. Because he's one of 3 people at the time that knew I had this dream. So I read it and it said you need to have $5 million in assets to even buy the team, whatever. And anyways, I was super inspired after reading that, and I just said, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to just swing for the fence. And if I fail, I'm just going to say, can you even freaking believe I tried that? And then just laugh it off. I mean, I'm 23. What do I got to lose? So 4 months later, it was probably about a month later, I found a football team, the rights to the team, that was for sale. And it was 2 hours away. And it was in Columbus, Georgia, where Miss Georgia is actually held. And so I contacted the owner, and I said, I'd like to talk to you about owning your football team, buying your football team. And he asked me, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, oh, God, should I lie or tell the truth? Lie or tell the truth? Lie. And I was just like, I wait tables at the Cheesecake Factory. And so he had the same reaction as you. He laughed at me and he said, well, any server who thinks he can buy my football team, I guess I at least owe him lunch. And I was just like, I guess you do. And so I got him, he said if I could raise X amount of money that he would finance the rights to the rest. But then I'd still have to come up with an additional $1 million for the players, the helmets, the footballs. And I've never ran a football team before. I played high school football, but that's about it. And so anyways, I came up with that money by just doing a cash advance, a very large cash advance on a credit card because I had really good credit. Went down, pre-sold advertising for the team, paid off the cash advance. And then over the next 4 months, raised $1 million, and I was in business.
Wow. Well, you are clearly a big thinker. So it goes from you want to hire a pretty girl to do a coin toss. You find her attractive. You guys start dating. How does that evolve all the way into creating, what is now kind of the world's greatest website for pageants? I
found that owning a football team was great, and it was fulfilled a dream. What I didn't like about it was the fact that I always had to show up to an office. And I didn't like that. So I was like, how could I create revenue by never having to leave my home? And so I was watching this girl that I was dating, compete, and she went on Miss America and got first runner-up and had a lot of success there. And I remember just doing a blog about her. And it really got a lot of traction. I was like, gosh, there's a lot of interest. And when I went to see her at the pageant, I was amazed at just how from a personal development standpoint, like you win this crown and you're surrounded by a team of people whose sole mission is to help you be better, from the way that you look to how you conduct interviews to just like networking you in for like professional positions. I'm like, this is mecca. Like, you know, being in business, you've got to pay thousands of dollars to go to a networking event and in order to just meet people. And in this, you just get it built in addition to all the organic opportunities that just comes from appearances. So I started asking the girls that I was dating, I'm like, where do you go to find like pageants? Like, or no, I didn't know that there was pageants then, so that wasn't accurate. I was like, I just knew that there was Miss America. I was like, where do you go to find coaches? And she was like, well, you just kind of ask people. That doesn't sound very efficient. Like, well, where do you go? What if you can't afford a coach? Like, these guys are $100 an hour. You know, they're like attorney costs. And she was like, you just, you know, you rely on your director. And so anyways, I just decided to create a free blog, and I didn't really know anything about the industry. I'm a straight guy. I've never competed. And I mean, from nowhere, Ohio, you know, so it's not like I had a lot of fashion sense or makeup savvy like to my name, you know, so I didn't know any of that. I just thought, you know what, if I give away enough information and get enough traffic to the site, and then I could sell advertising and hopefully replace the income and like not have to leave the house. So my whole goal in this was just like to live in pajama pants. I never thought I'd have to like, you know, travel and judge and MC, which is all great, but I just didn't even know that kind of thing existed. So it wasn't even on the radar. But I was just like, if I can help enough other people succeed and then create this kind of portal where everybody can meet each other in our domain, then I think it could be a good thing.
Well, I mean, in some ways, it kind of sounds like, you know, when Zuckerberg created Facebook, it was all about bringing people together and kind of tying the world together. And it feels like with Pageants, that's what you were looking to do, is kind of take it from the Stone Ages, so to speak, into the modern technology and, you know, bring everybody together.
Yeah, 100%. It was a lot of work. I mean, like, okay, so I'm a straight guy, and I start reaching out to girls on Facebook. Like, hey, you're a title holder. I'm starting a website. Can you please share information with me? And they're like, yeah, right, creep, right? So I'm like, no, I promise, it's a real thing. So there was hurdles there, and there was obstacles, and no one had ever done anything what I had kind of envisioned. But not coming from any kind of tech background or anything like that, I didn't know. So it was a lot of years of beating my head against the wall. And I remember even people in the industry was like, what is this guy trying to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Some days I thought I knew, but then other days it was like, what am I? Is this even going to ever work? So there was a lot of that too. And then, you know, if you just don't give up and you just continue along with this definiteness of purpose of like, no, it's going to work, I'll just figure it out. And you take it one day at a time, it'll eventually work out for you. And that's true in anything.
Well, it's been 10 years now. It's the most successful pageant website on the planet. Do you see in the next 5 years, you know, kind of what your vision is right now? Do you have an idea of what we're going to see happen over the next 5 years on Pageant Planet?
Yeah. We haven't even, numbers-wise, we haven't even hit our tipping point yet. Like, this is still really small. In comparison to the growth opportunities. So this year we'll start to hit some serious strides in momentum, because for the past pretty much 8 years, our biggest efficiency was technology. And the main reason for that was like technology is really expensive and I just couldn't afford it. And then when I could afford it, I hired the wrong people because I didn't have the background. So the technology really limited us. But now that we have the technology under wraps, we're going to experience some really good momentum this year, which is going to push us into a tipping point next year. But what you're going to see more and more is ultimately we are going to have in our database every girl who's ever competed, every director who's ever directed, every judge who's ever judged, every MC who's ever MC'd. And girls will be able to sign up for pageants directly through our portal, pay the director and all that. And judges will be able to pretty much judge contestants right from our portal. We're launching within the next 3 months the ability to buy and sell and rent dresses from there. We have a fun little pageant predictions game where you can predict like who's going to win certain pageants and there's leaderboards and all that good stuff. And Yeah, the whole directory profile itself, it's a cross between IMDb, which is the International Movie Database, and Wikipedia. So you can claim your own profiles, you can tag different pageants you've competed in, awards that you've won, upload like what dress you wore. You can go to pretty much Miss America's profile page and see every pageant, from, Miss America 1923, please don't quote me on that, all the way up to, all the way up to present day. You can see all these different pageants and click on there and see the contestants that competed in there too. So this is just the beginning. I have 83 pages right now with new features I'm going to be adding to the pageant. There's a Pageant Planet over the next few years, and that list just keeps growing.
Well, and I think it's great that you're doing that database because, as you and I had talked about, I mean, there's a lot of faux numbers out there, that there's, say 2.5 million girls that compete a year in 100,000 pageants, but there's really no way to verify that number is true. And you're probably one of the only people out there with the, the database and technology that you'll have at your disposal to be able to figure that out. So I guess for those of you listening, the best thing that we could do for Stephen is just go make a profile. If you compete in pageants, if you had competed, if you're thinking about competing, go make a profile, and it'll help really figure out the facts behind those numbers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you create a profile, especially if you're competing, you unlock a lot of features that's going to help you stay in the know of what you need to know in order to win and succeed. So there's not just, it really benefits you as well.
Now, you say you mentioned at the beginning, being able to work from home and not really having to go to a specific office. How big is your staff now at Pageant Planet?
We've got 23 paid staff members, from writers to sales team to people that manage our box and e-commerce store. And then outside of that, we've got tech team, accountants, attorneys, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what the true number is, but I actually just updated our organizational chart. So on my whiteboard here, I've got everybody all kind of listed out because I'm like, who works for us again? And I counted it up, like it was actually yesterday or the day before. I was like, oh, okay, 23. So I'm looking at the numbers. So that's how I knew it right off the top of my head. I was saying 17 for the longest. And I was like, I think we're bigger than that. And so anyway, so I drew it all out. And I was like, oh, I was 6 off. Okay, yeah, we got 23.
We got a few more than we thought we had. Yeah. Hey, you and I got actually a couple of things in common now that you mention it. We're both straight guys contacting girls to try and be part of something that has to do with the pageant world, which is always a challenge. And then number two, we both MC. Talk about all the things that you're doing outside of Pageant Planet with pageantry, MC being one of them.
Yeah, so, I MC, I judge, I was the brand consultant for Tony Bowles for several years. So just kind of help him bridge the gap between pageant girls and prom, and when he did that big partnership with Miss America. So I do that. I consult with directors that they get in sticky situations and they contact us like, okay, what should I do? Traditionally, it goes to my staff, and then it gets escalated up to me if it's not like a common issue. And in essence, just like, okay, well, here's kind of what's best practices based on what we know in the industry. I've done some fun things and kind of also been involved in some accidental conspiracies. So the fun things were like getting Teresa Scanlon, who was the former Miss America, to compete at Miss World America, which was never done before. And after she did that, Miss America created the rule, like, you're not allowed to compete in another pageant after Miss America. So that was accidentally implemented because of what I talked Teresa into doing, which she had a great time. There's the accidental, dramas or controversies that we get into is primarily, articles or whatnot that we write that, I'm not able to see everything that goes out on our social media or articles. It's a full-time job keeping up on the amount of content that's being produced. So that kind of gets us into some trouble sometimes. But whenever it gets in trouble, then you just kind of course correct and say, okay, what new procedure do we have to implement so that nobody puts a crazy title on articles? It's not good, right? So, and then addition to that, we're doing having talks, internal talks with the people that do Fit Fab Fun, all their boxing and merchandising. Mm-hmm. So we are partnering with them in order to take over our box. Working with Pandora right now to get our podcast on there. And you know this probably more than the average bear, but just like what a crossover it is between pageantry and just the entertainment industry as a whole, like actors and entertainers and all that. So you get to meet a lot of those fun people that call and seek you out for your advice. So there's different celebrities that I consult with, like their managers or whatever, on best rollout strategies or whatnot. So there's this like consulting element of what I do, whether it be people inside the industry or people related to the industry.
And how long have you been doing the awards with Pageant Planet that you do in January?
Well, it's kind of back to the staff number. I would say like 5 or 6 years, but that's a total guess. I mean, I could go back and look, but like on the live, whenever I was like saying, like announcing different awards via Facebook Live, I'd say it's like 5 or 6 years, and another one I would say 7. I'm like, oh crap, a few episodes back, I think I said 5 or 6 years. I don't know. But I never think about like going back to say, when did I start this, until someone like you asked me a question and I realized I really don't know. But I started because nobody else, Pageantry Magazine was the first people to actually start it. Like, and this was, I feel like decades ago, but then they stopped. And I didn't know it at the time, but I just knew there was no kind of ranking system, no way to really, praise those people like yourself that are doing an outstanding job, to really just have the community celebrate the people behind the scenes like we all celebrate contestants. So decided to just create it. In the first few years it was rocky, but now it's really grown into something that I'm even more proud of, because it's expanding outside of the arbitrary number 50 people that I know that are doing great things. Like, other people can nominate, like you, like as much success as you've had over the years. I wasn't aware of you, because I wasn't at a pageant where you emceed.
Sure. And
then I saw this video come through. I'm like, oh my, this guy is amazing. And then like all these nominations and reviews, and I'm like, this Tim guy is like, where it's at. And like, so we were like really collectively just blown away by just how good and professional you were. And he needs to not only be on the list, he's going to be on the top of the list. So naturally, you got number 1 for Best Pageant MCs of 2018, and it's well-deserved. But it's because of our platform, we're able to see different people coming through from like Indonesia, Philippines, pageant coaches from South Africa, all these kinds of things that we never had access before our platform.
Well, number 1, thank you for that honor, by the way. It was humbling and honoring. I couldn't be more excited about it. And number 2, do you see the awards maybe developing into some sort of award show for the industry, maybe eventually either online or even be broadcast?
I do. If I'm to be transparent, so I've had a few directors like, you should totally do this. And I haven't yet. And it's because I'm not as familiar, you would think, with arena football team and creating a halftime show, whatever.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm not as knowledgeable in that space. And because so much of our revenue is being reinvested back into Pageant Planet, from a technical side and just to support the infrastructure of staff and all that, I just don't have the spendable income to just say, let me throw X amount of dollars at this particular event. So I guess when I can hire somebody that's like an expert in launching events, then it would make sense to do an award ceremony / like a really massive trade show like they have with the fitness community. It would make sense to do something like that. And I feel like our brand is the one that could do something like that, because we have that captivated and global audience. Whereas a lot of the other people, they just try to do it right out the gate. And I'm sure they can have success with it. But I don't know, you almost have to earn your stripes in pageantry for people to trust you and to get behind you. And if you just come right out and you hold an event, people are going to sit back and watch you for years. I mean, gosh, I was churning out 3 articles a day, every day for 4 years until people really took notice, like on a scale.
Yeah, it takes time.
And that was
definitely takes time.
Yeah. So I could totally see it turning into something like that for sure.
Well, I just want to say you're awesome for what you're doing in the pageant community by connecting everybody and just, kind of being a force, to be honest. I mean, you guys are putting out so much content and connecting people together with coaches and dress designers and all kinds of different stuff. So keep doing what you're doing. By the way, again, appreciate the award. It was very kind of you guys. And I know there's a lot of people out there who appreciate you guys as well I think you guys give an award away like every day in January. Is that about right?
Yeah, and it was a full-time job putting it all together because after you do the day routines, you got to go through thousands of nominations and look at everybody's profile. And some people have like fake reviews. So we have a way to kind of like, wow, this person's amazing. This is like a lot of reviews. And there's ways to find out if somebody has fake reviews. And then you're like, they're fake. Come on.
They're buying them.
So yeah, they're buying them or creating them themselves or whatever they're doing. But it does show though the legitimacy of the awards and how certain people attempt to hack the system. But yeah, we did. We gave away awards every day in January, and that was a full-time job. Glad to do it, and we'll be thankful to do it next year too.
Well, keep taking care of the pageant world. I'm trying to take care of the girls after the pageant world, and hopefully in the future we can collaborate on some stuff here.
Absolutely, Tim. Thank you.
Hey, Stephen, thanks, man. Have a great day, okay?
Okay, you too, buddy.